Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important messages, emails, text messages that John Durham has found is the following. This will not fly in the eyes of public scrutiny. Folks, I'm afraid we have tunnel vision. And you do realize that we will have to expose every trick we have in our bag to even make a very weak association, wrote the person identified as Researcher 1. Unless we get traffic collected at critical points between suspect organizations, we cannot technically make any claim that would fly public scrutiny. And then they say basically, sorry to say this, but we are nowhere close to coming with a plan. The only thing that drives us at this point is that we don't like Trump. These people worked alongside Tech Executive 1. These people were researchers. So there was Michael Sussman, the attorney that worked for the law firm obtained by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. Sussman, along with Tech Executive 1 and tech researchers within the indictment, found a whole bunch of information that was basically meaningless, that had no link to some kind of nefarious discussion between servers in Moscow and Trump Tower. They fabricated all of that. But here you have, and the article is, Tech Executive was warned dirt effort on Trump, quote, will not fly, Durham claims. And you have it right here. This will not fly, according to court documents. Then, again, just like Reddit Stone Tier, if you remember Reddit Stone Tier, tell me in the comments section. They had to appease VIPs. According to the prosecutor, Tech Executive 1 told his subordinates that VIPs, a phrase Durham says refers to Sussman, Clinton campaign general counsel, and the campaign itself were, quote, looking for a true story that could be used as a basis for closer examination. They literally had nothing on Trump, but they needed some kind of pretext. They obtained non-public data that they had no right to. They had no right to obtain this data. Whether they circumvented legal repercussions is not... that's not relevant at this point because Tech Executive 1 is still under investigation. All those researchers are still under investigation by John Durham, according to several reports. So, Michael Sussman lied to James Baker at the FBI, telling the Bureau, the top legal counsel, James Comey's top legal counsel, oh, we're not here, texting him, and I talked about that last week, texting Baker, we're not here, I'm not being hired by anyone, I'm only here to help the country or to help the Bureau. I'm not being hired by the Clinton campaign or any direct political rival of Trump's. He texted that. And then he gave information to get them to investigate Trump. And this is an important segment, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Share this everywhere. Because this is an admission of guilt. They're admitting, I mean, if you look at 18 U.S. Code 371, which is the statute that I write about in the Federalist that McCabe and Comey and others should be charged with, and you could read my article in the Federalist predicting all the economic disasters we're seeing right now. That's in the pinned comment. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel as well in the pinned comment. And if you want to support my work, my Patreon is below in the pinned comment. So just go right down to the pinned comment. You can see my latest article in the Federalist last October telling you everything that's taking place. We're going to have a terrible, unfortunately, a devastating stock market crash. Unfortunately, this is going to take place. But that's another topic that I will unfortunately have to discuss on the Stock Market Crash channel every day. We're heading towards, and that's below in the pinned comment, we're heading towards a devastating stock market crash, food shortages, inflation that's skyrocketing, energy prices, gas prices go through the roof. We're heading into a recession. We're heading into an economic recession, and I talked about that. I've been talking about that for months and months now. So everything that was supposed to happen under Trump's administration We see what's taking place in Europe. There was supposed to be a geopolitical catastrophe under Trump because he was installed by you-know-who. Well, that didn't happen. Now we're seeing all of these terrible things from economics to geopolitics and foreign policy take place under mashed potato brains. Who, by the way, if you look at his son's emails, are incriminating and show that even their Secret Service is compromised. And this is terrible. 2 people infiltrated the security detail. I mean, that I reported on that yesterday. But you have, ladies and gentlemen, all of these third-party tech firms. They outsourced a tech firm to say that the DNC was hacked to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated, thus swinging votes from Bernie Sanders to Trump. Okay, their mentality, you have to understand their mentality. Everything detrimental to Democrats, everything detrimental to them is a plot by another country to inform you of their corruption. So when Trump defeated Clinton, before he defeated Clinton and after, because Tech Executive 1 within the Sussman indictment, because the Sussman indictment has a factual background that talks about they were setting up and framing Trump. They were hiring people to obtain non-public data even when Trump was in the Oval Office in February of 2017. They got all of this information from researchers who exploited access to cyber data, non-public data, within an existing contract during President Obama's administration that said nothing about obtaining information on Trump. Whenever you hear that, well, Sussman and Tech Executive 1 and the researchers and the third indictment within the Durham probe special counsel, so you had Kleinsmith, Danchenko, and now Sussman, this indictment and the factual background, well, don't they understand? Don't the Trumpers understand? And all the conservative media, don't they get that there was an existing contract within President Obama's administration? Don't they understand that? Yeah, that existing contract did not talk about appeasing or finding dirt on Trump because VIPs, which is stated within these messages, paid them to do so. That existing contract under President Obama said nothing about surveillance of Donald Trump, especially when he was in the Oval Office in February of 2017. So when they point to an existing contract, they say, well, you know what, they obtained the data legally, but the contract never stated anything like that. You can't point to any rational excuse or justification. And the big problem in American society, and you have people who are so full of themselves. There's this story going around of this Daily Beast writer, allegedly, well, he was bragging about this on Twitter, which I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook. Twitter's like a horrible, horrible dystopian cyber nightmare. It's like Tron for apoplectic, wonderful, morally superior liberals. He found a man who looked like a conservative journalist and then told the man, oh, you're a garbage human. And it's like that. And then the conservative journalist said, you know what? That's not me. And apparently the liberal writer, who was published in a whole bunch of left-leaning publications, profiled the person and said, oh, well, that person is of the same ethnicity of the conservative writer. I'm going to go walk up to him and say, you're a garbage human being. Meanwhile, this Daily Beast writer, who has published also in other left-leaning publications, The Atlantic, I think, is that it? I don't know. He's not saying that these are garbage human beings who purchased a Steele dossier against Trump to convince tens of millions of Americans that Trump was installed by another country. He's not saying these types of people will walk up to individuals just because they think they look like a conservative writer and say, you're a garbage human. Well, you're not calling Sussman or any of the other people who were indicted during Durham probe special counsel. You're not calling the people who cheated Bernie Sanders, okay, garbage human beings. You're not calling the people who lied about Trump being installed by the Kremlin garbage human beings. You're not saying that the people who deceived and duped tens of millions of morally superior, apoplectic liberal Democrats that Trump was installed by the Kremlin, you're not calling Clapper or Brennan or Comey or Strzok or McCabe or any of these people who said, we'll stop Trump, we'll obtain information for VIPs because they paid us, we'll create a Red Scare, McCarthy-era moment once again in American politics. You're not calling them garbage people. You're not calling them horrible people. And so you have a mentality that was perpetuated by individuals who were paid. These people were literally paid, given money by Trump's direct political rivals to deceive writers like this person who went after a conservative, who he thought was a conservative writer. I'm not even getting into all the details, but the conservative writer had even if that was him, which it wasn't, he had every right to enjoy himself without somebody saying, oh, you're a bad person. Because the people saying you're a bad person don't have self-awareness enough to say, oh, Trump was set up and framed by really bad people. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Thank you so very, very much. We have half the country who believe the morally superior liberal Democrats say, Trumpers believe lies. No. They're the ones who think that Trump was installed by the Kremlin. There's not a shred of evidence, and all the quote-unquote evidence was literally purchased by Trump's direct political rivals. I think that makes a really bad person if you believe that stuff. And if you actually were paid and paid others to create this myth and this hoax that Trump was installed by Putin. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. And is all the people who cheated Bernie Sanders. Notice how all the morally superior among us ignore that. And those, I guess, are good people who cheated Bernie Sanders, according to this type of individual. Give me your thoughts.